So did you hear? So did you hear? I don't think you heard me, but it's so Vintage Vember. Let that marinate. Vintage Vember? What? Yes, so Vintage Vember. So if that's some content you would like to see, please continue to watch. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's your girl Rochelle from Rochelle.Handmade.Designs, and in this video, I'm gonna be sharing with you a new sewing series and collaboration for the month of November called So Vintage Vember. So I'm going to give you all the details about this challenge, and it's open to the sewing community. But if you are new to the channel, welcome. Hello, ciao, guten tag, aloha, hola, konnichiwa, wagwan, sambalani, solom, bonjour. If you're returning, you guys know what to do. Go get you a quick snack, something to drink. Come on back so we can go ahead and get into this video. So without further ado, and we're going to keep it brief, but give you all the details of this So Vintage Vember that I am super excited about. Let's go ahead and get right on into it. All right, so I know you guys are wondering, like, what is So Vintage Vember, like you see from the title? Well, guess what? It's all about sewing vintage patterns for the month of November. Yep, your girl is hosting So Vintage Vember, but I also have 7 people I will be collaborating with throughout the month of November. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you who they are, but it's a good one, okay? Now, this challenge is open to the entire sewing community, so I'm going to give you the guidelines of this challenge as well. So let's get right on into it. All right, so here are the guidelines to ensure a fun and exciting challenge for you guys. So Vintage Vember. So number 1, pattern selections. So when it comes to the pattern selection, this sewing challenge is to choose patterns from 1920s to the 1970s, which spans over 50 years of fashion. Now, no patterns from 1980s, no patterns from 1990s. Yeah, I know you guys are looking at this like, oh, I have the perfect pattern in mind. But then when you go to the pattern, it's the new McCall patterns from the 1990s. Guess what? You cannot use 1990s patterns, all right? So what I want you to do is look for designs that encompass any dresses, blouses, pants, skirts, jumpsuit. But remember that the pattern should not be of any type of kids garment, no aprons, no accessories, no home decors, no gloves, none of that. It has to be a garment, all right? So once again, we are not doing kids garments, we're not doing aprons, we're not doing home decors, we're not doing accessories. This is strictly garment sewing of patterns from between the 1920s in the 1970s. That spans over 50 years of fashion, all right? Yes. Now, rule number 2, fabric choice, all right? So when you choose fabric, select fabrics that evoke the vintage, vintage body, all right? So, which means like cotton prints. You have your rayon, your silk, your linen, your jerseys, your brocade, your tweeds. There's so many fabrics. Your chemise, etc. There's so many fabrics that you can use in order to, get you a nice vintage look. Now, one of the main fabrics that I know that most vintage pattern has is your cotton. So if you want to make it in cotton, by all means do so. If you want to use some silk or some shantung, by all means do so, okay? It is, the holiday season, okay? So yes, that's why I wanted to do this as well. Now, also, feel free to experiment with any type of textures, different patterns you may have, different colors you want to do as well, that were popular during that time frame. As well, like I said, let your creativity shine. All right. So number 3, sewing techniques. All right. So for sewing techniques, I know one thing that you may mention is, are you okay with drafting your garment? If you draft your garment, please document the techniques. So this means like if you are doing any type of French seams, document it. If you are doing like any Hong Kong finishes, document that as well. If you're doing any type of bound buttonholes, document that as well. If you draft the pattern, show the drafting process. So basically, I'm not saying you have to film everything, but I am saying that show us some of the creativity behind what you are doing in your posts. All right. Number 4, let's talk about fit and sizing. So please document the size you cut, because I know a lot of times like, well, what size did you cut? You don't have to tell me the finished garment measurement or anything like that, but please document not only the size that you cut, but also any type of issues that you ran into with the pattern. If it runs too small, run too big, you have some gaping, the seam allowance needed to be cut down a little bit. You know what I mean? So basically just tell us your experience while sewing the pattern. All right. Number 5, time frame. So let's talk about the time frame. So the time frame of sewing, so Vintage Vember, November 1st, all the way through November 30th. There will be a random winner of a prize at the end of this, and I will probably announce that the first week in December, okay? So it's a random drawing. Yes, one person will win I'm not gonna tell you what it is, but yes, okay. So random winner, and the winner I will contact once that takes place. All right. Now, number 6, progress updates. So I know with any challenge you guys like to show your progress. So I'm going to give you the hashtag and put it up on the screen. It's hashtag Vintage Vember WIP for work in progress. All right. Once again, it's hashtag Vintage Vember WIP. And what that stands for is Vintage Vember work in progress. All right. It's what you currently working on. Do not post your work in progress to the actual hashtag for the sewing portion that's completed. You know, if you complete a garment and you just post some work in progress, it's not going to be counted towards the prize. All right. So make sure if you are doing sneak peek of your progress, make sure you use Vintage Vember, hashtag Vintage Vember WIP for work in progress. All right. And the last thing you want to do, number 7, we want community engagement. All right. So like I said, this is open to the sewing community through the month of November. We want you to encourage others to participate, but the hashtag you will use is Vintage Vember Sewing. Once again, hashtag Vintage Vember Sewing. Also tag me in your post so I am able to see, and also share with everyone else of the items that you have made doing hashtag Vintage Vember. All right. Also check out all of the collaborators, which I will tell you as they come along for each month. Check out their YouTube channels. Also make sure you stay locked to their channel to see what they sew once I announce after the first one, which I will tell you when that time comes up. There will be 7 collaborators as well, so stay tuned to any type of channel. Now, I do also want to mention one other thing. You can have more than one garment that you sew. So every garment, right, is an entry into the grand prize. All right. Now, I want to say it one more time. We are not sewing kids' garments, aprons, home decor, accessories. So if you had plans to sew a table runner, continuously sew it. However, it will not be entered into the drawing. All right. Well, that's it for this video of the hashtag Sew Vintage Vember, or just Vintage Vember Sewing. I hope you enjoy. I hope you decide to go to your Connect boxes of patterns, pull out those vintage patterns and join me and all of my collaborators as we sew some vintage patterns for November for hashtag Vintage Vember sewing. All right, well, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed, and since you made it this far, do not forget to hit that like button, subscribe button, also smash that notification bell so you are notified every time I upload a new video. So I'll catch you in the next video, and as always, keep sewing.